Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Management of the Older Adult podcast. My name is Dr. Samantha Chamberlain. This is brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. I'm excited to be here with you guys today. And let me tell you about a little bit of our courses that are coming up. January 10th and January 11th, we have Level 1 and Level 2 starting respectively. And then we have several live courses coming up in 2024. So I'll tell you the ones that are happening in January. We have Marysville, Ohio, Santa Rosa, California. Those are both on January 13th. On January 20th, we have Greensville, South Carolina, and Clearwater, Florida, both on January 20th, that weekend. And then January 27th, to close out January, we have Kearney, Missouri. So happy to see you at any of those, and we are looking forward to getting to just take part in your continuing ed for 2024. So the title of this podcast today is Planning for 200. And I left 200 what off and intentionally to kind of draw your attention in. But it's talking about planning for 200 years of life. Now, while that's not really realistic, I want to dive into this idea of living for 200 years and what that might look like for our day-to-day. So as we begin a new year, I thought what better way to kick off 2024 than through reflection along with future or forward pondering. It's not uncommon for people to reflect on the year behind them as we reach New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And it's not uncommon to plan for the year ahead or even have a 5-year plan. What is seemingly less common is planning in the big scheme of things. So we have kind of like what's in front of us here and now and kind of where our life is going over the next 5 years. But in regards to a daily routine to make us live longer, I don't think we consider that often. Maybe that's why you exercise, is because you want to be healthy, but healthy now or healthy for that older adult that you hope to be someday. So, of course, in our crew and the MMOA crew, we have this in mind. We have that we are old people in training. So that's kind of what motivates us to exercise, is so that we can be our best older selves and our best current selves as well. So I don't have a tip or clinical pearl for you guys today, but I do have a question that I'd love to start a dialogue with. And I'll get to that in a moment. But I want us to think of our patient interactions and how often have you heard, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I wouldn't have lived so hard, or I wouldn't have done X, Y, Z. If I'd known I would live this long. I hear that a lot. We live in a rural area. I have farmers, ranchers, a lot of manual labor folks, a lot of people that maybe have rodeoed or done other things like that in their life that can be very hard on the body. Sometimes it's alcohol and the likeness of the show ridiculousness that is involved in their younger years. But sometimes it is those manual labor jobs or working outside or working construction or road construction. And in that case, we should be trying to get the message across that there are exercises, nutrition, sleep habits, ergonomics that can help make those jobs or factory jobs, any type of those manual intensive jobs, a little bit easier to navigate for longer duration. But the question that stems from this commonly heard statement of, if I'd known I'd lived this long, I wouldn't have lived so hard. My question is, what if we plan to live for 200 years? How would you live? What would you suggest to your patients, or what would you implement differently into your day-to-day? Planning for 200, realistically expecting 150, and if you die at 100 years, maybe it was a bit too young. There's, of course, a lot of longevity studies going on right now, like it has been over the last few years. We've got a really good body of research forming on longevity and what we can do to live longer, what we can implement. Many of these articles have been shared in the Hump Day Hustling that is sent out through the Institute of Clinical Excellence every Wednesday. And more of these articles have also been sent through the biweekly MMOA digest that comes out every other Friday. From these articles, we can confidently say that all bodies need exercise. Resistance training reigns supreme, no matter what is going on, whether it's like everyone needs exercise, whether it's a healthy individual, maybe especially in the case of older adults that need it, they have to have it to have that opportunity to live longer. Compromised people that are compromised cardiovascular systems, chronic disease, like it doesn't matter who you are, your body needs resistance training. And we know that confidently. All bodies need quality sleep, 7 to 9 hours. If you want to be living for quite some time, you need to be getting regular, long, good quality sleep. So 7 to 9 hours, starting in a cool, dark room is a good place to start, a good habit to have. Not looking at a screen an hour prior to going to sleep, not looking at a screen while lying in bed. Those types of things can help promote us to live or to sleep better so that we can live longer. And also routine. So having a routine sleep-wake cycle can also help that quality of sleep increase. All bodies need quality nutrition. We need proteins, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds. We need foods that aren't pre-packaged, multi-ingredient, shelf-stable for months or years. Those that we don't need. We need good hydration. We need lots of water in our lives, which I have kicked off drinking more of, and that interrupted my sleep last night, but it will get better and I will drink it earlier in the day. We all need outside time, quiet time, reflective, call it meditation, prayer, mindfulness, just something that is getting us outside of the hustle and bustle of society, enjoying nature, being aware of the things around us. With these things in mind that we know that is research that is helping us to live longer lives, if you knew you were going to live 200 years and you wanted your second 100 years to be filled with as much life as your first 100 years, with hikes, running, playing, traveling, gardening, working, reading, what would you change today? Again, it's the beginning of the year, people are setting goals, so this is a good thing to just reflect on and kind of build a dialogue on. What lifestyle behavior would you prioritize that maybe has gotten pushed to the back burner with all the hustle and bustle of society, of life, of work? What has lost importance to you that you once loved? What hobbies did you have prior to having a career and children and family that maybe you don't do anymore? Find those things and start to implement them back. Maybe not daily, but at least, set a weekend aside a month, or enjoy life while also working towards those exercise, diet, sleep, nutrition, and mindfulness goals. If you could live a healthy 200 years through your own choices and daily practices, what would you prioritize? What would your day be like? What would you do or start that you thought you were too old for? I don't want you to think of it as a grace period either, because I can see how that would be like, oh, I have 200 years. I can just put it off. I can just wait. I don't need to push myself right now. But instead of thinking of it as a grace period or an extension to turn in your late work, rather think of it from the perspective of a bonus for completing your work, or a productivity bonus, not necessarily for excelling, but rather for consistently showing up, for putting in the work and not waiting to prioritize your health. Extra time because you didn't wait till you had spare time to do it. You didn't wait until your kids were grown, but rather included them. I was so excited. My son went for a run with me yesterday. It was almost dark. It was super cold. And he was dead set on going with me, and also had his little brother and dad come too. It was fantastic, and I'm so glad that I went ahead and did that run, even though it was cold. Don't wait for the retirement. Don't wait for the weather to be perfect. Don't wait for the gym schedule to fit in your schedule. You have to make it a priority for you, for your life. We know the brain and the mind is a very powerful thing. So again, this is where that 200-year mindset came in. If we had the mindset that we would live for 200 years, then maybe 100 wouldn't be so hard. I don't pose this question, like I said, to take time for granted, or, oh, we have 200 years, I'll do it later. But quite the opposite. I have 200 years. I better make each day count so that I can live in a state of fitness and wellness for as long as I can, and make as much out of each of those years as I possibly can. Plan for 200 by being consistent with your health day in and day out. Make it fun. Challenge yourself. Challenge your neighbors. Challenge your kids. Learn to hula hoop. If you have to be training for something, like I know sometimes it's hard to exercise just for exercise, but again, mindset is very powerful. You're training for life, or join a rec team like a flag football or volleyball or tennis or pickleball or whatever it may be that makes you want to be in better shape to do that thing. But at the end of the day, you're training to be an active older person. It is not like high school where you're training to be in the state championship for 4 years. You are striving for the life championship. As cheesy as that may sound, that's truly what it is. Memories with great grandkids, teaching them rather than watching them play catch. Life is what we're training for. And we say that old person in training, like that's something that gets thrown around, but it's so accurate. Like if you are not doing stuff now, it's just going to get harder later. So if you're planning for 200, what will you do differently? What will you keep doing? Always highlight that awesome list that you've already got going for you. What's something new you want to try? We had an article submission for level 1 last cohort, and it was of a gentleman that started ballet. He'd always wanted to be a ballet dancer, but life never worked out to where he was able to do that because he was providing for his family or work took him different places. But he began ballet in his 70s. He's now in his 80s or 90s, and he is a beautiful dancer. It's amazing to watch. So don't think you're too old to try something new, whether it's a new career, whether it's a new sport, whether it's a new hobby, whether it's learning how to do something you didn't ever think you would know anything about. Plan for 200 years to live long and die fast. Happy 2024, everyone. Hope to see you soon online. Again, those cohorts start January 10th and January 11th. That's level 1 and level 2. And then we have several live courses going into January and throughout the rest of the year. Happy aging, everyone.